Good evening, everyone. We're here once again at Senior Corner in Peabody, beautiful downtown Peabody, Mass. We have with us tonight a very exciting young lady, Dr. Mona Sigal, who will be discussing the benefits of plant medicine. Is it plant medicine, Mona? Or
Close enough. We'll
close
get into
enough?
the details.
Okay. But Ray will formally introduce Mona. Ray, would you mind introducing
Sure, no
the
problem.
young lady?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Siegel. She likes us to call her Mona, so it'll be Mona the rest of it. But
That's
she is a
right.
medical doctor who is with nutrition and life science, and she hopes she can enlighten us about getting on a vegan diet. I'm going to put it right on people. So we'll start with that. Bill, you want to start with the questions?
I'd be glad to. Mona, very nice. We met with Mona earlier this week. We had a nice long discussion with her and her little dog. What was his name again?
Solomon.
Solomon.
It's
Ah.
his
Little.
birthday today.
Yes, he did look like he was a mountain of exuberance when we
Yes,
met.
indeed.
But he was well-mannered.
Yes, he is. He's my child.
I don't know
course.
why he fell asleep while we were all discussing your product. Not your
It was your
product, but
fault.
It was. You yelled at him and you hurt his
That's
feelings.
We had to wake him up when we were leaving, but that's beside the point. Mona, it's one of the major things that we're interested in is how you got into this particular field.
Well, first of all, let me say hello to the audience. I hope there's somebody listening or watching tonight. And I want to
Well,
thank...
we have both of our wives listening.
Well, exactly. And hopefully my husband is watching. Who knows? But I wanted to thank you for having me tonight. And I'm glad that you're giving me the opportunity to talk about nutrition and lifestyle medicine, which is the kind of medicine that I practice. And you asked me how I got into it. Well, actually, I'm an emergency physician. I am a board-certified emergency physician, and I worked in emergency medicine for many years. And for some reason or other, very early on, actually before I even became an emergency physician, I was very interested in nutrition and disease. Very early on, I began to understand intuitively that there was a connection between what we eat, what we don't eat, how we live, and what happens to our bodies in terms of health and disease. And so over the years, I pretty much self-educated in my spare time. And the more I learned about it, the more I understood that the impact of diet on the diseases that we experience, or me as a physician, the diseases that I used to see in the emergency department, is phenomenally important. Emergency medicine has given me the best years of my life. I had incredible fun. I was the chief of emergency services at North Shore Medical Center in Salem until 2007. And I had the best of time there, but my frustration grew as the years went on because the more I learned about nutrition and lifestyle medicine, the more I understood that as an emergency physician, I wasn't really helping people to the degree that I could.
So you're seeing them after they're coming in there with heart attacks. So that is this now. Why did you leave emergency medicine? You know.
Well, emergency medicine. There are many TV shows that show you the sexiness of it, right? But
If you like to watch the blood
if
part.
you like to watch the blood, and we didn't have any George Clooney's in my department, but.
We don't have any here.
We don't have, I didn't say that. But the truth of the matter is that as many people as I was able to help, in the end, all I was doing is really pulling them back from the brink of disaster by rushing them to the catheterization lab, by rushing them to the operating room. If they were lucky enough to survive all this, they just went home and did everything what they were doing before the catastrophe all over again.
That's right.
Nothing had changed.
Smoking, not exercising,
The
nothing.
eating, the smoking, the not exercising, the eating. Eating, as we now know, plays a crucial role, if not the most important one,
Very
in
true.
disease prevention and reversal. And so, honestly, I felt that I wasn't really saving anybody. And I became very frustrated because that's not how I had envisioned practicing medicine. And so, to answer your question, quick question, long answer, that's me. I decided that I had to make a career switch.
So you wanted to be in preventative medicine instead of after the fact, then,
I
guess.
wanted to finally help people, truly make an impact in their lives by truly steering them towards health.
Before they get to the emergency
Well,
room.
even after, there is so much you can do. I wish I was practicing preventive medicine, but I am really not doing that much. Most people who find me have already experienced medical problems.
Right.
And so I'm at this point dealing with a lot of chronic diseases where nutrition and lifestyle changes can make a world of difference.
For instance, I'm on dialysis 3 days a week, and because of my kidney failing on me, because of not eating the proper foods, I presume, more or less.
Well, you and I haven't met as doctor-patient before, so I don't really know your medical story. I would not be so presumptuous as to make any diagnostic assumptions here. My goal is to affect people before they reach dialysis. Diabetics, people with high blood pressure, people who have had strokes, many other chronic diseases, even cancers, can be prevented or halted in their development. And some diseases can be reversed. Most patients reach dialysis, and I'm not asking you if you belong to this category, have had diabetes type 2 for a long time.
No.
And so we know that we can reverse diabetes type 2 with diet, because diabetes type 2 is primarily caused by diet.
Yeah. But there are, most of the people at the clinic have experienced diabetics.
Oh, sorry. So they almost tie hand in hand, you're saying that?
No,
Okay.
no, we're not
She's saying
saying
it
that.
can,
Yeah,
but usually,
right.
okay. Now, what is this nutrition and lifestyle medicine? What?
Yeah, what the heck is
big
that?
word? Big word. Well, nutrition we know. What lifestyle? You know, I mean, what? Go down, move to the
lifestyle
Bahamas,
of the rich
or what?
and famous.
That's why I moved to the
right.
Bahamas. Is that-
Sure, of course. The little drinks with the umbrella, that's lifestyle, definitely. Actually, lifestyle medicine is an offshoot of the American College of Preventive Medicine. So now we have our own college, American College of Lifestyle Medicine. It's very important, not because it sounds good, but because any time a specialty pronounces itself as such and founds a college, they begin to really consolidate the science and the evidence behind their recommendations. And so this is really the key to lifestyle medicine. This is evidence-based medicine. And what is that? Evidence-based medicine is really the lofty goal of any specialty. We all want to practice medicine based on the most scientific and dependable findings out there. So this is not about me practicing medicine because I feel like doing it a certain way, or I hold certain beliefs, or I like or don't like other therapies versus others. This is all about science. And the science in nutrition and lifestyle medicine abounds. We have over 25 years, 30 years of solid, large-scale scientific evidence from all over the world.
No, before you go on, Mona, now, this nutrition and lifestyle medicine, you said there's a college. somebody goes to high school, then they go to 4 years regular college.
Yeah.
They can now go to this college you're talking about. Is it a physical place, this college you're talking? I'm not trying to be a wise guy.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just.
no, no.
Does-
And
or
thank
is
you
this,
for the question. That's a
I
very
mean,
good
is this
question.
just like a University of Phoenix online, or is there a physical building? But this person graduates college, now a regular degree, they got a science degree. Now they say, geez, you know, instead of going to the emergency room or being a surgeon, a heart surgeon, I want to get to people before they have a problem and preventative. Is this a separate field? Now, do they have a separate classification after
Yeah.
their name, or what? Can you?
So excellent question, and I will need again to give a long answer. I'm sorry. First of all, it's not a physical college. It's not a building. Any time when specialists in a medical field group themselves together in a, if you will, in an elite club.
In a partnership.
Right. Well, the partnership here really is based on the science, and then we put forward recommendations, guidelines.
Right.
There's the American College of Surgeons, and there's the American College of Internal Medicine, American College of Emergency Medicine that I used to belong to. So these are not physical colleges in the terms of an academic institution, but rather a club, an assembly of physicians who practice.
You compare notes and everything.
Yes,
Share everything.
that's right. We have a president, we have a board. We are an organization that puts forth the guidelines in our field, the
Right.
recommendations in our field, and thereby ensuring that whoever wishes to practice, for example, nutrition and lifestyle medicine, does it based on these guidelines, so that we don't have people out there who call themselves, well, I'm doing lifestyle medicine, and in fact they don't know what they're talking
That's
about.
they don't even have a medical
But
degree.
It's basically a school of thought
Yes.
promulgated by a group of professionals
Yes.
to benefit the public
Yes.
need.
Yes, exactly. So let me just point out at this point that one of the basic guidelines in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is that plant-based diet is the only diet that has been shown to date to prevent and reverse diseases that are not caused by infection or trauma. In other words, if you had a car accident and you were banged up, I can't put you on hay and grass and you're not going to get better. You'll need surgery. If you had a bad lung infection, that very moment you need antibiotics, not kale.
I was going to read my mind.
Well, kale is very powerful,
Difficult,
but not in those circumstances. So we're talking about, now the question is, you got the lung infection, why? Maybe your immune system was weakened. That's where lifestyle and nutrition medicine come in to prevent this even from happening. I don't want to get into those details, but in essence, we are treating all manners of chronic disease, neurological disease. We have now 2 pretty good studies which show that patients with Parkinson's disease can benefit from a plant-based diet, especially from omitting all dairy from their diet in order to improve their symptoms and maybe remove some of the medications they're on.
You know, our next question was, why do people come to see you? You half answer that. Can we add to
Also
this?
because I'm nice.
Yes, you are.
Right?
I'll agree to that. Not only why do they come to see you, but what type of people, what kind of conditions, may I add? I don't know if that's
Why
in
don't we
here.
walk somebody through
Yeah.
a
Love to.
consultation with you?
Love to.
I come in with serious something on my face and I can't get rid of it and I don't know what it is and nobody seems to be able to tell me what it is.
I had a
walk in-
patient
I
like
walk
that
in
last
and,
year. Yeah.
Doctor, knock, knock on your door.
Who's there?
Who's there?
You said knock knock. I had to ask who's there.
Take me to the Garden of Eden.
The guy.
While I
Filled with fruits and vegetables.
Vegetables,
You're
there you go.
right. Well, I had a patient, you were mentioning some sort of skin condition
Yeah.
that nobody can figure out. Well, let me tell you about this patient that I saw last year. He's a man in his 50s who is a painter, and by that I mean house renovations. And he has worked in this field for many, many, many years. He owns his company. He works very hard. He's always there with his crew in the field, always painting and scrubbing and doing
Yeah.
all these things. And one day, 3 years before he saw me, he began developing these nodes on his face, these boils,
Yeah.
literally boils filled with pus. Sorry, it's
Ooh.
gross. I know. But it was pretty nasty, and he could not shave himself even. That's how bad it was. To cut a long story short, 3 years, he went from doctor to doctor. He ended up in the hospital because one of the medications he was on caused severe side effects, et cetera, et cetera. And he sort of gave up. He just was having these bouts of boils and infections in his face, and he ended up on my doorstep. When you become my patient, there are two ways. You either find me because you read an article about it, or because you saw an ad, or
Somebody recommended you?
or found my website, or somebody recommended me, either word of mouth or another physician recommended me. The first thing that I require before we meet is that you fill out a 10-page questionnaire. Because I don't look at a patient as Jim with boils on his face. I look at Jim. And so I need to learn about Jim everything I possibly can.
You look at the whole person, not just...
Absolutely. I need to know how you work and how you live and what you do before work and what you do after work. Do you have stress in your life? Sure, everybody does. But it's different in lifestyle medicine. We classify stress. We have very targeted questions to know how you deal with stress in your life. We go into great detail about the way you cook at home. Who does the cooking? What type of cooking do you do? What do your meals look like? How many times do you go out? And then, of course, there are all the other questions that any doctor asks. After all, I am a doctor. Past medical history, all your medications, allergies, operations, the whole thing. But it's 10 pages. It's a lot of information. The other thing that every patient must do before they see me is complete a dietary log, a food journal. For 7 days, you must write everything down that passes your lips from out to in.
Including water, too, you asked for?
Especially water. Many people think, oh, I drink so much, and in fact, when they mean I drink so much, it's usually beer. No, we're talking everything.
Doesn't make them bad.
Well, it's not the right kind of hydration. I'm not judging.
I'm teasing.
But you know, you see what I mean. Even if you chew gum, I want to know, believe it or not. Yes. Peppermint in gum can cause some very interesting stomach issues. You have to know what to ask for in lifestyle medicine. It's all about really getting into the detail. In any form or fashion, you fill out those 10 pages, you fill out the food questionnaire, and then you come and see me for an hour and a half. When was the last time you sat with your doctor for an hour and a half?
Right now.
Right now.
What do you
I
get,
know.
5 or 10 minutes, Bill, if you're lucky?
And see, that's a problem nowadays, and we can't blame the physicians.
No.
It's the medical system we're in. I spend an hour and a half when I meet with a patient for the first time. At that point, I have already reviewed the 10-page questionnaire. I've already looked at the food journal.
Yeah.
And when I meet with the patient for the first time, we can discuss what I found, also fill in blanks on the questionnaire, and make plans for the future. In this particular gentleman I was telling you about, the one with the boils in his face, well, this gentleman was coming from Eastern Europe originally. He has lived in this country for many, many years. But his dietary habits were still Eastern European. In other words, Meat, sausage, more meat.
Potatoes and potatoes.
More sausage.
Potatoes are good.
I know, but that's all he
As
ate,
long
meat
as
and
they're not
potatoes.
French fries and dunked in oil. Potatoes are wonderful. No, we're talking about very, very high-fat animal product diet. So this man was having sausage and eggs for breakfast, more meat for lunch, cold cuts on a sandwich,
Wow.
etc., etc. His diet probably was between 65 and 70% fat, out of which cholesterol and saturated fat, and of course the cholesterol was sky high. And I said to him, guess what? We're going to eliminate all the animal fat from your diet, and you can only do that by eliminating the animal foods from the diet.
Yeah, right.
There's not much left. If you eliminate the fat, there's not much left of the animal food. And guess what? Within 2 weeks, he was beside himself. Within 2 weeks, his skin cleared up.
Wow.
Within 2 weeks, he had the face of the man he was before this all started 3 years ago. It was amazing. And then he came to me and said, what am I going to do? No more sausage for breakfast. I said, that's sausage for breakfast or boils in your face? It's your choice. See, I don't tell patients what to do.
Yeah.
When somebody comes to see me, we enter a partnership. At the basis of our partnership is education. Anybody can come to my office and take the courses that I teach. I teach 3 different courses in plant-based nutrition and disease prevention and reversal. One is called Kickstart. Kickstart. Just get off your butt and kickstart it. It's a general entry-level course that teaches you about plant-based diets, shows you the evidence, shows you the science, shows you the facts. We do cooking demonstration in class. People get to taste the foods. They learn new cooking techniques. Everything is very simple, very, very, very doable. But the most important thing is education. Because if I just tell you, well, listen, you're just going to eat tomorrow morning oatmeal, and for lunch you're going to have an avocado sandwich, and for dinner you're going to have a lentil stew, and you're going to look at me and say, what are you?
Wacky.
Now, by the way, all those foods taste great, but without your understanding, true understanding the facts behind it, you're not going to do it. You're not going to stick with it. You will not be motivated. And the beauty is, patients who have gone on the plant-based diet, for whatever reason, and we're not talking my patients, we're talking thousands and tens of thousands of people out there who have done it. Everybody experiences increased energy levels. Everybody experiences better overall feeling. Those who have to lose weight lose it automatically. Automatically.
Okay, what about you take a, no, I'm sorry.
And
go
there
ahead.
hasn't been one, well, what I want to say is there hasn't been one person who has ever come back and said, well, no, didn't work for me.
Well, okay, somebody's in their 80s, they got a certain lifestyle. How do you change a guy, well, Bill's not 80 yet, but say he was 85
He's a
years old.
youngster.
I am 80.
Oh, are you really?
Yes.
Oh, congrats.
Good
All
for
right.
you.
Well,
I wouldn't have guessed the day over 79.
okay, so this question here, why should he, say he didn't have this problem he told you about earlier and he was feeling pretty good. Why should he change his diet?
Good question. Very good.
I mean, he's been eating this all his life. He
Right.
likes his
Right.
steak on once a week.
No, I haven't. I've changed my diet.
Okay, so I'm like, so it's
Dramatically.
me. I'm 80 years old. I eat everything, but why should I give
my
up
diet
my?
has changed dramatically. I don't eat half of the stuff that I
But
ate before
what-
because
right.
my system can't take it.
Yeah.
Why should I give up my turkey bacon? I don't eat turkey bacon, but say I did. Why should I give up my turkey
Just
bacon? Why should I give
yogurt.
up my
Just
fish?
give up yogurt. Fish. Yes, a very good question. 2 answers. A,
I'm 80 years old. I've enjoyed life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's still, what is 80? 80
It's a
is
number?
not, it's a number. None of us who practices nutrition and lifestyle medicine promises eternal life. We haven't found the key to that yet. What we can promise is a healthier life. Do you want to be healthy for as long as you can or not? That's really the question. If you are on 5, 6, 7, even 3 or 4 medications, that's not health. Most medications, all medications, really treat symptoms and numbers. None of the other than antibiotics, none of the medications that are being taken chronically over long periods of time cure anything. They all have side effects. All medications can harm you seriously.
And you're a medical doctor.
Yeah.
You make any statements, okay?
I'm not
I
the only
know.
one who says it.
I know, I'm teasing.
Very true.
If I were the only one who says it, then you could shoot me. But I'm not.
Oh, I know. You see these on TV, they're telling you to take certain medication, and then they say, this can be fatal. You're
Of
saying,
course.
geez, do I want to take this or
Right.
not?
Right. So the question is really what kind of life quality you want. There are people, and there always will be people, who live to eat, who enjoy their food so much that they don't care about the consequences. It's a free country.
I live to eat, but I care about the consequences. So.
So at some point you have to make a choice. It's a free country and you have to make the choice. And I always tell the students in my classes are very well attended, I always tell them right up front, I'm not going to tell you what to do, what to eat, how to live your life. I'm here to give you the information, to provide you with the tools, to give you all the support you could possibly need, but you are in charge. You have to make the changes.
Now, what recommendation did you give to the man with the boils on his face?
Stay off the sausage and the meat. Every time,
That's
in fact,
the only information?
he had to stay off all animal foods. The
Including
minute,
cheese and milk.
everything. The minute he ate, at a brunch on a weekend, the minute he ate an egg omelet with some bacon in it, the next day, one or two would appear.
Yeah.
Even eggs would
Oh,
start.
absolutely.
Everything that's animal.
Yeah, no, I know.
Everything that have a mother.
I've been called mother before.
That's a whole other story.
Again.
But the thing is, to your question, why at the age of 80?
So that's the only thing that he did was give up the...
But no other physician did. For 3 years, this man has been on 5 different antibiotics, steroids,
Yeah.
prednisone.
Yeah,
Okay? He got so sick from one of the medications, he had to be hospitalized.
yeah.
So you're telling me what? All you did is tell him not to eat sausage? I was the only one who did.
Yeah.
And that's what it took.
Uh-huh. Very
Okay?
good.
Now, I'm not blaming the
So
other
now-
physicians for
but
not
that's
telling
not-
me, but
that
they
was-
don't
they
know.
don't
But that was not plant-based.
What was
the
not?
animal food was not plant waste.
Well,
Based.
no. If it's animal food, it's not from plants.
All right.
Animals eat plants, most of them, but
Yeah.
they themselves.
But
when we
yours
eat
is a
them,
plant-based.
completely
regimen.
plant-based. So we're eating whole grains, legumes, that's beans and lentils. And when I say whole grains, I mean whole grains. When the grain still looks like the grain as
Yeah.
it grew in nature. Vegetables, as many colors as possible. Dark leafy greens. Now there are going to be people in the audience who will say, "Oh, wait a second. My cardiologist said
Vitamin K with the dark leafy
I
greens.
can't eat dark leafy greens. I'm on a medication." I have
If they're
news.
taking warfarin, yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
I have news for you.
This is a call-in show, by the way. Sometimes we get letters.
Bring it on.
Bring
Where are
There it is.
calls?
They got the phone number.
The
Call
phone
in,
number
folks.
is on-
Call
there.
in. I'm here for you.
Dr. Siegel would be happy to answer your questions. But
All we need to do when somebody's on warfarin, to put them, instead of taking the Coumadin, that's the other
Coumadin,
name.
yes,
That's
same
the other
name.
name. Instead of taking this drug that it puts you at very high risk for internal bleeding.
Very much so, right.
If you hit your head, you could die from that bleed.
you get an outside cut even, you're going to bleed profusely.
All we have to do with these patients, put them on a daily regimen of the same amount of dark leafy greens. So you basically have to measure your dark leafy greens every day because that's your medication now. And we will check your blood to just make sure you're staying where you're staying. But we can put you on dark leafy greens instead of pills that can make you die.
Yeah, that's true.
But let me, I insist, answer the question of why an 80-year-old should make a change.
Right.
Because I always like to brag about my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law lives with us, and she's going to be 89 this year. And when my husband joined the vegan club, until then I had been cooking my food, his food, and she was eating with him. But since he joined, finally saw the light, she had no choice but to become vegan herself. That was 4 years ago. Now, at 4 years ago, she was 85, had been suffering for almost 30 years from recurrent bladder infections. She had to be on chronic antibiotics to prevent them from coming on. And those chronic antibiotics weren't even helping anymore, so they had to switch all the time. Nothing really helped to prevent them. She was suffering from all kinds of skin infections, like athlete's foot and skin fold problem. As soon as I started her, as soon as she was forced to eat a plant-based diet, all her bladder infections disappeared. Her skin cleared up completely, and she has never, ever since, in 4 years, had one infection.
Okay,
Very
now
good.
getting,
Now,
that's great.
Tomorrow I'm going to have a boiled dinner, which
Loaded with salt.
exclusive of the meat.
What's a boiled dinner exclusive of the meat?
Potato,
Okay.
turnip, beets,
Excellent.
cabbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you could benefit from steaming those instead of boiling them. The reason is every time you boil vegetables in water, like in a soup, a lot of the nutrients leach into the water. If you use that water to prepare a soup with it, you might salvage a lot of those nutrients. But if you're only going to eat the vegetables, why not steam them? That way, you preserve all the nutrients in the
Okay.
food. And the steam softens up everything and actually preserves the flavor better
It
as
does,
well.
especially cabbage tastes
Now
better.
let me ask you a question. When you're on dialysis, potatoes, you had mentioned earlier how wonderful they are, but you have to soak them in water for several hours before you can.
You're concerned about the potassium?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Or?
Well, the question really is, why do you have to do that if you are on dialysis? If you are on dialysis, the dialysis removes
Yeah.
the potassium that you have too much of. And usually dialysis happens 3 times a week, every other day.
Right, you're
So
exactly
essentially, if you had your potato meal the day before dialysis, you shouldn't have too much of a problem, I wouldn't think.
Okay, all right.
Now, what about olive
That
oil?
answers the question for me.
Yeah, great. I mentioned to you the other day I like olive oil. In fact, I had a baked potato with olive oil today, and you were saying, so if you're telling us go straight with vegetables and fruits, I would like to know what's the matter with, well, oils I know they're fattening, and seeds and nuts. A lot of doctors are on TV telling you to eat seeds and nuts. Now you're going to tell me something else. Tell me about seeds and nuts and olive oil or any kind of oil.
I'll tell you about seeds and nuts.
I know you told me yours.
See, he knows.
Well, I know they're fattening, but what's the matter with them?
I'm also an ostomy patient as well. And
Well, that's a whole other story with seeds and nuts.
that is a
Yeah,
whole other.
Indeed.
Everything I have is a whole other story.
He's a story.
You're
You can write a book.
special. You're
Yes,
special.
There you go.
Very special. Well, for starters, let me
Doctors
say.
tell you to eat olive oil.
Yeah, I know. That's, that's
What do you say, doctor?
thank you. Ask me what I think. It's not about what I think. I will tell you what the science is as the answer. First of all, I'll start with a citation. I will quote Professor Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study. He has a famous saying. He likes to say, Americans love to hear good news about their bad habits.
Oh, sure.
And that doesn't concern just food, but Professor Campbell obviously talks about food. Nuts and seeds are nature's most concentrated form to pack nutrition, as much nutrition as possible in the smallest package. Now, you grow vegetables, you told me, you garden. I garden. We all know what happens to a tiny little seed that goes into the ground, and boof, you have a giant tomato plant in a couple of months. That's what's in a seed. In order to pack all that power in a seed, you have to put a lot of fat in there, a lot of protein in there, a lot of enzymes, et cetera, et cetera. Nuts are pretty much the same idea, again, providing concentrated packed nutrition in a very small package. In nature, neither nuts nor seeds are an around year phenomenon. They happen only in certain times of the year, when seeds are appropriate, when nuts are appropriate. We are used to eat everything year long. We are used to have everything available year long. Nuts are a treat. They are packed with nutrition. There's magnesium and iron and selenium and all kinds of other phenomenal things in there. Antioxidants, phytonutrients. 80% of calories come
Omegas 3.
from fat. Essential
Omega-3s.
oils, wonderful. Flaxseed, the highest amount of essential oils, omega-3, that you can possibly find in nature. But they have to be enjoyed in small amounts because they're so densely packed with nutrition. 1 ounce of nuts has 200 calories because of the oils. On average,
Excuse me.
on average, nuts are 80% fat from calorie. Seeds, the same thing.
You're talking about flaxseed?
I'm talking chia seed, flax
seeds
seed,
also,
hemp
that's the other one.
seed. Right. All of the seeds are high in fat, high in protein. Sesame seed, the highest form of calcium in nature, believe it or not. I don't want people to go out there and chew on sesame seeds now because they need calcium. But, you know, a curiosity in nature, packed with calcium, 1 ounce for ounce if you compare to other foods. Sesame seed packs the most calcium. Be it as it may, seeds and nuts are healthy but need to be enjoyed in very small amounts.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, I haven't been eating much lately because I have cholesterol, but bowl of oatmeal. I'll use either peaches, and they may be frozen, already sliced, so there's no juice, or frozen blueberries. A good dose of cinnamon.
Why is that? Tell
Why
me.
cinnamon? Because
Tell
my
me.
doctor told me over a year ago, he says, you know, you are pre-diabetic because of your weight, and I've read cinnamon is very good for you, so I put a good tablespoon at least, and I either use flaxseed. When I ran on a flaxseed, I put probably 2 tablespoons of, a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. And I use water. I don't put milk.
Excellent.
And I use xylitol for my sweetener, or I use stevia.
Okay.
They're both natural products. What's wrong with that for breakfast?
Nothing is wrong with it for breakfast, except maybe one thing: too much seed.
Seed.
Way too much seed. In order to get, let me
Learning something here.
let me clean the slate for a moment.
Sure.
Everybody is so obsessed with the omegas. Everybody's obsessed getting my omega-3s, right? Fish. Everybody's been told.
Walnuts.
Walnuts. Well, fish is wrong. Fish is wrong because if we had a show and tell here, I could show you that fish actually contains very small amounts. You have to eat a lot of fish to get the omegas that you really should get. Unfortunately, even when you eat a normal portion of fish, not only don't you get enough omegas, but you get omega-3s, you get too much of omega-6. You get tons of cholesterol. Cholesterol is only in animal foods, not in plants. You get lots of saturated fat and a lot of toxins, depending on what kind of
You're
fish
talking
you eat.
whitefish or salmon you're getting this?
Salmon is, first of all, salmon is not even your better source of omega-3 of all fishes. I know that they always say salmon, but it's wrong.
Time out. What is omega?
That's a good question, yeah.
High five if I were close enough. So we have to have a certain number of so-called essential fatty acids in our diet because we don't make it. We make cholesterol. We should, all right, do you need a doctor?
No,
Okay.
I got
Is there a
sinus
doctor
drip.
in the house?
Yeah, doctor. No, it's sinus drip. Sinus drip. I'm sorry. That's why I'm coughing in my sleeve.
You're
I've
very
learned that.
polite. Cough towards him.
Just don't cough
Don't
on my
touch him.
sleeve.
In the sleeve, I learned this from the school children.
Good job.
Anyways. I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
so essential fats are fats we don't make but have to have in our diet. We make all the cholesterol that we need. Our diet should not contain any cholesterol. We make it. There are many other fatty acids we need, but we make them. So there's basically just a few that we have to eat every day ourselves. If you were to eat just a balanced plant-based diet like we teach people to do, you would get all the essential fatty acids that you need. All of them. Without seeds, without nothing. Now, these essential fatty acids that we don't make are grouped chemically in two classes, if you will. The omega-3s and the omega-6. It's just the way the molecules are formed. That's why we call them omega-3, omega-6. In the body, there's an enzyme that converts these omega-3 essential fatty acids and the omega-6s into end products. And the enzyme is in the middle. How am I doing so far for sign language? Good?
You're great.
Okay. Now, when you take omega-3 and turn it into an end product, you get chemicals that are strongly anti-inflammatory. Extremely potent pharmacological compounds we make that combat inflammation, because inflammation is bad. Omega-6, on the other hand, same enzyme in the middle, remember that?
Right.
Omega-6, its end products are highly pro-inflammatory. They stoke the fire of inflammation in the body. It's like pouring oil on the fire. This enzyme in the middle doesn't really care if it makes more end product from omega-6 or more end product from omega-3. This enzyme will work with whatever is present more of. If it sees more omega-3, it will produce the anti-inflammatories. If it sees more omega-6, it will make more pro-inflammatories. What's wrong with our American diet, our Western diet? It's not just America, by the way, the Western diet. The ratio of essential fatty acids we eat is very bad. There is too few omega-3 and a lot of omega-6. Sometimes to a ratio of 1 to 40. For each omega-3, 40 omega-6. So what we want is a ratio of 1 omega-3 to maybe 2 or 3 omega-6s. A very
So
different
there
one.
is certain foods that have
Yes.
omega-3s and 6s. Is it
Yes.
possible, like say, for example, an omega-3 is 3 parts, omega-6 is only 2, so this enzyme will work with this omega-3
That's
and
right.
it will cancel out the 6?
It doesn't cancel it out, but it produces far less.
Okay.
And you need some of these products
You
down
need
here,
that
but you
omega-6.
need them in a
In
certain
balance.
balance to stay healthy.
And the enzyme does that.
And the enzyme does that. And the omega-6, the overabundance of essential fatty acids that produce inflammation comes from animal-based foods.
Amazing.
So she's answering the questions before we even ask them.
Well, let me think why.
Okay. Well, no, this is good. It says, what about eating fish
This is
for
her
omega? She
show.
already said that. I know, that's what
This
you
is the
said.
doctor's
But
show.
she already mentioned about eating fish for omegas, and you said what's wrong with them. I'll tell you what I don't eat. I read from the California Marine Resources here over a year ago. It's right from a California-based group. They don't have anything to do with the fishing industry. They're just telling you. One thing I won't eat, and I've preached this to other people, I will not eat farm-raised salmon, period. And if I see in a restaurant Atlantic salmon, I know it's farm-raised, guaranteed, because I don't know anybody that's catching wild Atlantic salmon, so I stay. But one thing they said is healthy, farm-raised tilapia. It's just a different fish, and there's different, you can agree.
Look, there are
that.
many studies out there that are looking at the benefits in one form or another of eating fish to prevent degenerative diseases. They talk about anti-inflammatory compounds, but nobody has yet done the study to compare the fish eating with, say, the plant eating.
That's true.
And then I want to see who comes out on top.
Okay.
Look, unfortunately, we are being barraged in the media, on TV, in magazines. We're being indoctrinated with medical information that is seemingly sound and credible, but in fact, behind it are most of the time commercial forces.
Okay, what do we do for them now? High protein is good red steak, calcium, milk.
Wait. You worked the red steak in there. I'm not going to let that pass. What was that all about?
Well, okay, what about, give me a high protein food that isn't a vegan.
Why high protein? What's about protein that people are so obsessed about?
Well, a lot of people think protein helps you to...
I'm on high protein.
Yeah, see?
For
Well,
my
it gives you
dialysis.
energy.
You are out of the picture.
Thank you.
You're special. We already agreed on that.
She told you you're special.
Yeah, it's different.
But-
when you have
okay.
you have special needs.
Well,
That's different.
weightlifters, they like protein to build muscle and everything, to build more muscle.
Some of the most prominent and successful world professional athletes have gone plant-based, and we now have archaeological DNA evidence that back in the Roman times, gladiators, seriously, gladiators. You know those guys who went out there to fight for life and death. These guys, for a month before they would fight their biggest fights, would go on a completely grain-based diet. Grain-based. That's how they would build up their carbohydrate stores for immediate energy. That's how they would build muscle, because grain is high in protein. There's your answer for high protein. Legumes are high in protein. This is how these guys would build up their stamina, their muscle, their health with plant foods. We were a healthy people worldwide before industrialization set in and the production of livestock skyrocketed. We were doing health-wise much better. I give a phenomenal presentation where I show slides with world data from all over the world, epidemiological information data about health in people all over the world as a relation to animal-based diets versus plant-based diets.
No, getting to the calcium part of it now, there's people with a lot of bone...
protein, wait a second. You
Okay,
don't get away with that steak.
I agree.
That steak is in there.
Let her finish.
Okay, whatever.
Well, I talk a lot. He can't get in a word edgewise. I know how it works. But
I
I'm on
thought
TV.
you were done.
I'm on TV.
No,
I enjoy it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done with the protein. You
No,
said the grain.
I just wanted to say we are eating far too much protein as it is. In our regular Western diet, we probably eat 5 to 6 times more protein than we need. And this is also true for a plant-based diet. Too much protein is not healthy. Protein has to go through the kidneys, has to go through the liver to be digested. High protein diets are not healthy. We know that from animal
Even
labs.
the whey proteins and all those, huh?
They're terrible. This is a commercial way to sell people stuff they don't need.
What about rice protein?
Eat rice.
Okay. But I
Plant.
mean, this is, well, it's more
Do
condensed.
not buy powders.
Okay.
It's synthetic, it's processed. What for? Why?
Oh, I'm just asking. No, I'm asking.
Whole foods, unrefined foods, whole grains, rice, brown rice. You could live on white potatoes alone and not have a single nutritional deficiency. You could, and the studies have been done where people were put on a plane, other than wanting to kill yourself for boredom, these people ate potatoes for 6 months. Only.
That's why he
And-
left Ireland, because they ran out of potatoes. No, I'm teasing.
No, they didn't.
No kidding.
I'm teasing. Yeah,
so,
I know.
So protein is
There
not
was
an
a
issue.
blight on the potato.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, now.
Calcium.
Yeah, what about calcium?
What about calcium?
Where are you going to get it in a plant? You're going to tell me you get enough calcium in plants.
More than you would ever need.
But how much do you have to eat? What, 10 pounds of spinach or something? I don't know.
Spinach won't give you the calcium.
Calcium.
No.
Spinach
Spinach
is a
is
very
not good.
selfish green. Kale.
Kale.
Kale is your dark leafy greens are your best source for calcium. Now, ounce for ounce, a cup of 8 ounces of milk versus 8 ounces of kale. And I'm talking raw kale, not cooked kale, but
That's what I was going to ask.
the
Okay.
kale is stuffed in there real hard, okay? So packed, 8 ounces of packed green raw kale versus 8 ounces of milk.
You're talking kale by weight or by volume?
No, by volume. So
By
I'm
volume,
talking
okay.
8 ounces.
Sure, Okay,
Ounce glass.
yes.
You have more calcium in the kale than in the milk, number one. Number two, the absorption of the calcium from the kale into your body is more efficient than from the milk.
Now, what
Now,
about,
why do we think milk is so good for us? For calcium and everything?
because we were told to.
Because the dairy industry
told
has
us.
put in billions of dollars for many years to convince everybody that milk is your best
No.
nutrient.
Now, why do they say you have to, with certain minerals, to absorb them in your body, you have to have something like an oil to absorb it? You don't agree with
A
that?
what?
You have to have an oil or something, a fat to absorb certain minerals. You agree with that or not?
It's not a matter of I agree or not. It's a matter of science. It's a matter of chemistry and physics. Every single food that you eat, whether it's a bean, a vegetable, a fruit, they all contain fat. They all contain fat. Fat is part of every living cell. In other words, you would absorb everything just fine if you don't have a disease, an underlying a disease of absorption.
Okay.
You should have no issues absorbing anything. But your point is well taken. For example, in order to absorb more of your calcium from dark leafy greens, it helps to eat the dark leafy greens when they are cooked and served together with vitamin C. In other words, sprinkle a little bit of lemon juice over your greens.
Lemon juice.
Cook them up with some tomatoes.
Okay.
Those contain vitamin C, and it greatly facilitates and increases calcium absorption.
Good. Now tell me what the leafy greens are that you're talking about.
Ooh, let's see. So we have the obvious. We have kale and we have chard. And we have spinach, not for calcium, but for many other good things. We have broccoli. We have
Celery?
celery. Well, it's not
No.
really
Oh,
dark.
they're
leafy.
not
Mustard
dark.
greens, collard
Mustard
greens?
greens, collard. Did I say collard? No.
No,
you
collard
didn't.
Collard
greens.
greens, absolutely wonderful. Collard greens, Brussels sprouts,
Dark stuff. Everything that's dark.
everything that's dark and green should really be in your diet every day. A little bit, not much.
Dandelions would,
Now
and
before we
endive
go
too?
on,
Endive, dandelions,
I want to know what your
absolutely.
feeling about vinegar is.
Vinegar,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Well,
from apples.
That's, well, you know they make vinegar from coconut?
Oh, do they?
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
I
They make
know.
vinegar from all kinds of fun
That's
things.
really throwing me
Make it
off.
from wine,
They
from
make
grapes.
champagne vinegar. Oh.
So a
If you
little-
can't afford the champagne, drink the champagne vinegar.
She's
Just
from
kidding.
the same part of the world that my family is, and vinegar was big in our diet.
Sure. Well, vinegar was a way to preserve food. Let's not forget that. before refrigeration started, things would be cured.
Salted.
Exactly. Salted, smoked, vinegared. Vinegar is basically a fermentation process that then results in the liquid being sour pickles and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, the best way to have the benefits of vinegar is to actually use an unfiltered, unpasteurized vinegar. And I don't want to make any brand recommendations, but without saying that I have no benefit from it. But for example, there's an apple cider vinegar that is made by the Bragg company, B-R-A-G-G. And it's turbid. When you look at the bottle, it's turbid. It's not a see-through liquid.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, there is a sediment. And the sediment is actually wonderful liquid that needs to be tilted in the bottle and ingested as well, because it's very rich in enzymes and nutrients. And there's a whole little booklet out there that tells you about medicinal applications of such unfiltered vinegars.
Very
Now,
good.
what about organic versus non-organic?
What about it?
Well, we're running a lot of time, so we're
I
kinda-
know. So bottom line, not everything has to be organic, okay?
Okay.
And if you say, well, I can't afford a plant-based diet because that means I have to have everything organic, I say absolutely not. If you have to make a choice to be plant-based, be plant-based at the expense of being non-organic. There are certain things that are better to be organic because they simply absorb more of the pesticides.
Sides, right.
But you're better off if you buy, for example, locally. Local farms, small local farms, even if they're not labeled as organic, will usually use much less pesticides and artificial fertilizers than the big commercial producers. So even if you buy something that is not necessarily labeled organic, if you buy it locally from local farms, you are pretty safe.
Okay. Bill, did you want to go? Because we got 3
Yep.
minutes. Okay.
We got 3 minutes.
Well, she
You
can make a
wanna-
final statement after you're done. If
Okay,
you want.
what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the Region Community Life Center, which this program is dedicated to, and some of the things coming up close at hand is the Valentine's Day Party, which is next week, and tickets for that is $10. Anybody wants to go to the Valentine's Day Party. And February birthdays are in order at this time. If anybody's having a birthday, they're welcome to the dining room and register and have a free lunch, I guess. Happy birthday to all. Evans Flowers donates a rose to the group with
2 minutes. Okay.
with a balloon. Monthly movie is Trouble with the Curve, Gus Lobel, Clint Eastwood, Top Baseball Scout for Decades, et cetera, et cetera. That's on Wednesdays. Crazy Cards, anybody needs to shred their damaging information is welcome to come to the center and we'll do it for you.
Less than 1 minute.
Ray, I have a watch, believe it or not.
I'm going by our producer here. You can do what you want. He's going to shut us off.
He's not part of the show.
He's going to shut us
But you
off
have to
the
swing
air.
on the button, yeah, that's it.
And the free exercise class also is,
Okay.
you get your tips and topics, you'll be in order of.
Right.
Don't
Look,
forget.
we're looking for a donation from you, Doc. Little spiel on where you're located and everything?
I am in Peabody at 2 Bourbon Street, and my phone number is, I think was on the screen there, oh no, that's not my phone number, 978-717-5804.
And if you forget Dr. Siegel's phone number, you can always call Bill or I. We'll help you get in touch with her. But I think it would be nice of you to sit down with her, even for a social visit, and maybe she can help you.
That's right.
Don't forget Solomon.
And Solomon
Solomon.
will be there too, he's the office dog, that's right.
Thank you for being
Thank
with
you
us,
for
Dr.
having
Siegel.
me. Thank
Real
you very
pleasure.
much.
God bless you.
He pulled
Please.
me right into his lap.
Oh, he's shutting us off. He shut us.